So anyway, Alien Earth, which has been interesting. It's had a lot of really cool things about it. The aesthetics were top notch. They got some elements right, pretty cool here and there. And but there were some stumbles and flaws. And ultimately, I said, well, you got to reserve judgment for the series in its entirety for this season. It is obvious that they intend for there to be a second season, which most shows do that. Most shows, hey, let's hope we can get a whole bunch of seasons out of this premise from this movie franchise. All right, fair enough. But with a lot that was teased and the mysteries and whatnot going on in this show, I just thought, well, you really can't end on a cliffhanger here. I think that would be a mistake. You leave possibilities for it to continue, and sure, that'll be great. And there's all kinds of things they could do. They've introduced new creatures and stuff like that. But instead, no, they decided to leave things still mysterious here and there, and then end the show. I think that's a terrible mistake. And at this point, it appears the stupid outweighs the good. So, the island's in trouble. Everything's falling apart. And a-hole boss Boy Cavalier is losing control. And Wendy is going to be in charge. And that's how it ends. Yes, I will be spoiling. So, at the beginning, they're all locked up and everything, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and all this sort of stuff. And then, well, that falls apart. More monsters get loose. We finally see the mysterious plant creature do something. It kills one of the soldiers. That's it. So I wasn't all that impressed with that one. Octopus, well, has a moment here and there, and you think, oh, that's gonna go somewhere, and well, they're leaving that for later as well. So that one's not really resolved. So nothing really is. What the hell was Kirsch's plot? He obviously had one. He allowed things to happen while he's looking down upon humanity and everything, and yet you're just as stupid as everybody else because you allowed certain things to happen to where you're completely left open to what happens to the whole base and everything. So, well, the good news is none of the real major characters are dead. They lived for the next season. Well, there was one of the characters who died, but even he will still be around. I'll leave that mysterious. So, one of the main things here is about, well, Wendy's special. All right. She was the first of the hybrids and all that. And then Boy Cavalier has his Peter Pan thing going on and all that. And she's as first and whatnot. You think, okay, that's why she's special. No, she has special abilities, and we see that demonstrated all the time. And she's almost immediately, and it's not explained whatsoever, she's able to communicate with the xenomorph. She doesn't communicate with the other creatures, but she communicates with that one because, well, it is the alien. There's other aliens now, but it's the alien. Even though it's kind of a guest star in its own show. But nevertheless, she does this. There's no explanation for it. None. The other incredible ability that she has is she's able to control all computers. Initially, she would just touch the screen and she'd be in this sort of thing. Here she's in prison, but she's able to do it from a distance. So she's controlling the screen, and she's just moving it this way, locking doors, opening doors, shutting down computers, all that sort of stuff. Trapping soldiers in an elevator, on and on and on. And how does she do that? The other kids can't do that. The other kids, they have super strength. They're faster than human beings. They're far, superior to them in a lot of ways, all that stuff. And they're even more superior to the androids and, of course, the cyborg and all that. And apparently more superior than the xenomorph, so long as they have, the paper cutter thing. And they can slice one in half, like Wendy did. But then again, that's Wendy. She's the alpha of the team. But she has these other abilities, and there's no explanation for it. Even Boy Cavalier's. And that's that. So, gee, that's for next season. Odds are they don't know either. They haven't really thought it through. They just tease stuff, and that's, oh God, don't do that. To set up mystery and stuff, and to at least indicate that yes, we will explore that further, and because you want this to be a much expanded show. I don't think that was because they really didn't. They show the characters reacting to she has this ability. They don't do anything about it. And then she utilizes that, surprise, surprise, to take over the whole facility, And okay, but they should have looked into it and said, oh, this could be because of this or that. And, we eliminated that in the others for some reason or what have you. They'll probably get to that in the next season, provided they get one. I'm guessing they will. I don't know what the numbers are on Alien Earth, but they've greenlit worse stuff. So they'll probably get another season, and they'll expand on this. But to just throw it in there, wow, she's special. If they just leave it that she's special for no reason, that makes no sense whatsoever. Now, this is a creature none of them have any experience with. Sure, Boy Cavalier had sabotaged the Maginot. So he had his paid man in there, his traitor that he paid to sabotage the mission so that he could get what Weyland-Yutani has. And so I suppose perhaps he was able to steal some of their information, and that he had some interest or knowledge of the xenomorph because they've encountered this before. If you go by, well, I guess Prometheus or something. I don't know, because even that, I don't know that they would know about the xenomorph at that point. They knew about the engineers and everything. So, but anyway, they've since encountered a xenomorph. So, some way, somehow, he gets that. Did that? I don't know, because Wendy is made out of that AI intelligence at the Prodigy Island, that she gleaned that knowledge, and somewhere in her AI subconscious she has the ability to communicate with the creature. And now next season they might show, some of the other hybrids will start to develop this as well. She was the first. It took a while before. We don't know the amount of time in between, but the other kids come in and they get their hybrid bodies as well. But still, her superpowers that are beyond the superpowers that the others have to be explained. And I don't see why not, because it's just this ability she has. And again, you got to come up with reasons why they don't deal with it. You have to chalk it up to Boy Cavalier being fascinated with it and just, I want to see where this goes. Because he's a genius on one side, but an idiot elsewhere, and that's part of his arrogance, his narcissism, and the guy's nuts. So you can chalk it up to that. The stupidity of the hybrids is their kids. So you can get away with that. But too much stupidity is too much stupidity here and there. So it's like Kirsch is presented as, this brilliant thinker and whatnot and all that. And he's up to something. Oh, his back's broken. And it's what the hell? Yeah, I don't know. What was his plot? You don't see it. So stupid. Now, season 2 will fix that. I don't know. I guess he just underestimated the cyborg, and that's how he ends up where he does. But I don't see how this was a win for him to allow all this destruction to happen to his boss's compound, unless, of course, he had some motive for why he wanted to do that. And what's the win? And well, you don't get that. So some of the elements, do work, especially like I said, the failures and stuff can be explained away by some of them. Itopus is interesting and all that. There's something of a reveal about who there's yet another synthetic there. They reveal that, and you kind of see it coming anyway. But okay. But surprise, surprise, Wendy can control those too, because she's God when it comes to technology. It doesn't explain how she's able to communicate with the xenomorph unless they go into, the engineers utilize biology the way we utilize, computers and, that sort of technology. Theirs is, biometric combined or whatnot. And so the xenomorphs are basically just their robots or something. Still just animals, and but whatever. That's what they do, and then you just have the kids take over, and Wendy is a full-on villain at this point because, sure, Boy Cavalier's got it coming. Few others, I understand that, but the rest of the crew and stuff, she just murders, doesn't care, and has her fascination with her pet xenomorph, and there's just no redemption anymore. Some of the other kids are still rather innocent and don't quite understand what's happening, but they'll do what Wendy says because she's big sister and all that. So that's what they do. So they capture Boy Cavalier and they throw him in the cell. They capture everybody else. They capture, the lady scientist dressing up like Rhoda for some reason in this episode. They throw her in there, and then Wendy says, well, now we're gonna take over. And then this makes Boy Cavalier, who apparently had a haircut in between scenes, they really messed up there, and he's giggling at the prospect. I guess he thinks he can manipulate this to his advantage or whatever. Or he sees this the fruition of his work, perhaps. And then they play another damn rock song, and that's the end of the show. Right? To be continued. So, no explanation for quite a bit. So, it didn't achieve this. I said, hey, this could possibly be the most successful follow-up to the first two classic films. It didn't do that. Another season can rectify this and fix it, but I don't know. After this performance, as far as season 1 goes, the stupid outweighed the good, and that's a problem. Basically, all you have is Itopus. The other creatures are just thrown in for decoration. I don't know that much else will be done with those. But Itopus, you could have just had it set up, Itopus survives and nobody knows this, and the island is atomized. Everyone's dead. Okay, maybe Wendy survives somewhere, that kind of thing. And then the next season is, there's no xenomorphs anymore, but, this other creature who's an alien. So you can still call it Alien Earth. And, that's on the way. Or you could expand on eventually getting to where Itopus is able to communicate more clearly. And this is the sort of thing they may do. I'm almost certain. I mean, otherwise they're really stupid. And perhaps there is more of this natural, enemy relationship between Itopus and Xenomorph and that sort of thing. But ultimately they teased a bunch of stuff and resolved nothing. Yutani is on the way. The fleet or the squadron, whatever, has arrived. So that's afoot while they're all trapped in the dungeon with the hybrids taking over. And where does that go? But ultimately, for the continuity, of course, none of the Xenomorphs can survive this story. I don't care if they get several seasons or what have you. Then the continuity doesn't work anymore. And they could have ended that already and gone off into their other stuff, and the series could have been about different eras and stuff like that. You take Holly's Fargo approach, but it just didn't deliver. It's got a lot of cool stuff. They spent a lot of money on this, but it's just to be continued. Not like this, and especially since you didn't resolve jack squat. So I've been through a lot, especially bad robot creations and whatnot. That's tease. No payoff. You needed to resolve at least something. Didn't do any. So that's it. That's Alien Earth season 1. The final episode, The Real Monsters. Did you catch who the real monsters are? Well, there's the hybrids. They're getting pretty monsters. But of course, the real monster is man. Yes. So, I guess tune in next time if you still want to support Disney at this point. And we'll see how that goes. But narratively speaking, ultimately, they didn't deliver to basically the metric, does the good outweigh the stupid? No. Season 2 could change all that. But, depending on the numbers, which I do not know, and all that, I would, I would say, well, it costs a lot of money. It's not that great. You pass on it. But they're gambling on the Alien franchise becoming this big thing. Alien Romulus was successful, so they're doing another one of those. You got Predator Badlands. They'll cross them over. And now you've got something to replace Marvel, which is all but dead now. So, okay, I understand that. So they'll probably give it another shot. And its numbers may be good. It gets noticed and whatnot. But it's still better than Romulus was, so okay. But right now, the stupid outweighs the good. And I didn't want it to be that way, but it is. So there we go. Alien Earth.